speaking of knowing the start of a fight, I know that for decades, this fight with the power sector or electricity has been on. I know Nigerians who lived their lives, who never saw 24-hour electricity. I'm saying like consistently, they never saw it. And we're in 2026, it looks like it's even worse right now because the Minister of Power himself said, well, yes, things are worse than where we were in 2025. And for a lot of people listening to the Minister of Power yesterday, well, didn't quite give us much closure. 3 issues on the line. 1, why are we here right now? Why is power supply? Because that's what we feel. We really don't want to care about whether it's generation, transmission, all of that. What we want to know is supply. What has been distributed to us? It has been terrible, particularly in a time like this, right? The second point is, what is being done? When is this going to end? When are we going to get out of the woods? And you can call the third one a bonus, which is, are you resigning? Now, not are you resigning because power has been poor. There is that, absolutely. It's always an option on the table. But are you resigning to pursue any political interest? Do you think you have done well enough here such that you can say, Nigerians, see my CV, I want to run for governor of your state? 3 issues. Well, the jury's out there whether or not he was able to answer, but he did apologize to Nigerians.
The question is apology accepted or not? Does apology put power in your home and power in your deep freezer and your fridge such that your food can be preserved? Especially as you're spending quite a lot on food, and does it preserve your food and save the money in your pocket? Well, the bigger questions are, why post-privatization of the sector is Nigeria still losing a lot of money? How come the generation companies are being owed to the tune of trillions of naira? In some reports quote 3.3 trillion. Some are quoting more than that. Why are they still owing? Reports suggest that some of these debts are owed even by government agencies themselves who are on the service of the distribution companies but have not been paying their debts. And so the NNPC is also rejecting a 6 trillion naira bailout by the federal government for the GENCOs, saying that the power sector has continued to be, a problem, a millstone around the necks of Nigerians over the years, and that the bigger problem is that the ruling elite are profiting from subsidies and phantom increases in electricity tariffs and all of that. So what is the more enduring solution to Nigeria's power problem? We're generating below our capacity. We have about 15,000 generation capacity, but we're generating sometimes 3,000, at best 4,000 plus. And there are times when power grid collapses, we go down to 0, and then the nation is in total blackout. Why doesn't even, in some cases, government agencies and government institutions and structures believe in the power sector? Reports suggest that some of those institutions have fully transited to solar power. These are the these are the real issues that we should be addressing. What are the more enduring solutions to Nigeria's power problem? Jeffrey, perhaps you have answers this morning.
I don't, and there's no answer in sight. I don't want to be unfair to any government. It's the irresponsibility from each successive government that has brought us here. And to be very fair, what needs to be done has not been done. And that's the investment that is required. Things like oil and gas sector, things like power sector requires huge investment. So perhaps the administration felt that they will be able to use all this band A, band B, and decentralization to solve the problem. It doesn't solve the problem. So if liquidity is still a problem and other things are still a problem, then we may have to go back to the drawing board and really see how, whether it's a concession, because you have to begin to talk about issues of sovereignty and see how to bring this. But the truth is that the president made a promise in 2022 that by all means necessary, he's going to make sure we have electricity. Those were his words, and there will no more be estimated billing. He said, more like the words of Nyesom Wike, agreement is agreement, in my own words now. And he said, he will make it happen. That if he doesn't make it happen before 2027, because it's a re-election, that Nigerians should not vote him, except he gives an explanation that is satisfactory to us. So, Mr. President, as we speak, you haven't fulfilled that part of your, promise. You haven't given us electricity. We have 13,000 installed capacity. We're doing somewhere between 3 to 4. On a good day, we go as high as +5, in excess of that. So, if we want to base, Kayode and Bukola, if we want to base the president's re-election on one of the most crucial sectors of the economy, which is power, President Bola Tinubu shouldn't be re-elected if the election happens today, because he hasn't fulfilled that promise. These are not my words. He said, don't vote me for a second time, except I give you an explanation that is satisfactory. So, Mr. President, there's no power sufficient enough for all of us. Second, you haven't given us any explanation that is satisfactory. We did not vote for Mr. Adelabu. We voted for President Bola Tinubu. So this is you now versus your words. I know you have 31 governors and the state assemblies and everybody. But if we vote today, you don't deserve to be re-elected, except between now and 2027 proper, we get the power you promised. Guys.
So let's take a listen to what the Minister of Power said. Yes, the promise is there, and you will be the one to decide whether you are enjoying this power, and by extension, whether you bring in this government yet again. But here's the Minister of Power, Mr. Adebayo Adelabu, yesterday.
Continue to engage the Federal Ministry of Petroleum and Gas to ensure that we sit down with the gas supply, we're able to come up with workable and practical solutions to this problem. Why we should not do it? Why plants have farm supply contracts? So that it's not just a less available. Because power is key to our economic development and industrial growth. What matters to me most now is this job that I'm doing as the Honorable Minister of Power. And excelling on that job is my priority for now. Tackling foreseen, known and unforeseen challenges is my priority for now. And resolving the power supply challenges is my priority for now. We have between now and 31st March, if I'm interested in the gubernatorial contest in Oyo State.
So he still spoke to that, well, his plans or otherwise to contest. So he has till 31st to resign. He tried to find a way to not answer, but also answer. But really, that is, I should say,
that's not our problem.
His choice or not. I mean, it doesn't affect us. Maybe the people of Oyo State, they want to hear about that. What really affects us is power. And two major points he made. While he said Nigerians should give him time, to a few days more. And people are like, what if you resign? Should we give you that much days? But he also talked about the privatization in the past, which you referenced. And he says, well, it's meant to expire in 2028. So my thinking is, the former president, late Muhammadu Buhari, also blamed the privatization process, said the companies that bidded and won the bid, a lot of them didn't have the capacity, didn't have liquidity to invest in it. All they wanted to do was just recoup their investment, right? So they dropped the ball. So that means that we've had to suffer as a result of that. First, who conducted that bid? If you're saying that the bidding process was flawed, who conducted the bid? Why are Nigerians suffering as a result of someone's or some people's negligence? It will never make sense to me. But more importantly, what he's trying to say is Nigerians have to endure this till 2028 before we then now begin to say, okay, let's see how we can fix it. Because that's what it sounds like he's saying, honestly. But I do not buy that constant excuse. We cannot be suffering as a result of some people's negligence. It does not make sense at all. And
so we should also ask the Jonathan administration that midwifed the privatization of the power sector, what happened? How come they sold our Commonwealth to people who were not competent. We should ask questions of the managers of the power ministry at the time. But while looking back, we should also look forward and remind the power minister of the current administration that he holds a critical ministry, and Nigerians do not have any business with his subsequent aspirations from this point, but with his primary responsibility as Minister of Power, who holds a key ministry upon which the president has staked his second term ambition, saying, if we're unable to deliver on power, do not vote for us. What we didn't hear from that press briefing is the enduring solution that would see us exit the constant power grid collapses, the power outages, and this regime that predates even my own birth. We're a generation of the UPNEPA, and even now our own subsequent generations are experiencing UPNEPA. So what is the enduring solution to exiting this regime where we're always having power outages? We didn't hear that, and frankly speaking, it speaks of I'm trying to choose my words carefully, but as difficult as it may sound, incompetence. Jeffrey.
Well, let's hope that they can find their act. Me, I try to stick fact. The president said if he doesn't give us power, by all means necessary, we should not vote for him.
And stop estimated billing. So
yes, stop estimated. He said, but I tried to bring out the entire statement towards the end of that, because business lunch with Ashewaju, that was the name of that event. He said, if he's not able to do it, he will explain to us an explanation that will be satisfactory. If he's not, do you understand? So I don't think, first, there's no power. He hasn't explained to us. Now it's our discretion to accept whether it's satisfactory or not. But seriously speaking, I don't buy excuses. It's been 11 years now? 11 years of a new party running their affairs. So don't bring to us all of the nonsense, permit my use of language, that happened under the Jonathan administration in the bidding process. You've had 11, they had 16. And part of that 16, they made a mess. Partly that you say you will fix. The slogan of the Buhari administration, God rest his soul, was change. Stop giving excuses after 11 years. So what can you do? Because, guys, it's still the same thing. I think under Jonathan administration, under subsequent previous administration, Nigeria did up to maybe 5,000 megawatts or so. This administration has done something close to 6,000. So there's really not been significant progress. Significant progress will mean if we have 13,000 megawatts of installed capacity, we should be talking about 9 to 10 as at now in terms of progress. But I understand the encumbrance. I expect that the government would have understood this encumbrance and given us, because I felt like the president has been very, very, very vocal about the issue of power. Remember when he went to Chatham House, he said the system is not workable, it's broken, he will fix it. So, I don't know, excuses don't carry for me, but let's just see how it goes anyway.
Absolutely.
That's why we have the experts to come and explain to us.
What's the encumbrance? Who is owing the gas supplying companies? Is it government agencies?
And they will blame it on the fact that they were paying subsidies for us.
We're supposed to be experiencing a windfall in terms of non-oil revenues. Customs is reporting increase, surpassing its target, and FIRS is reporting surpassing its target. But we're seeing that agencies of government are not being funded. So is the Ministry of Power, who is tasked with the responsibility of funding the gas suppliers? Is it the Ministry of Power? Which agency, and why are they not well funded? Those are the questions.
I know that
also that the Minister of Power should have answered yesterday.
I think I know, I want to be correct, but you guys can. The Aso Villa was also put aside, I think, a 10 billion naira for solar.
Of course, everybody's going.
So if the place that
and is Aso Villa owing? By the way,
decisions are
they owing discos?
No. I don't think the Aso is owing, because there was a time the president was very unhappy that they were even owing
in the first place. But we have to verify that, Jeffrey.
So perhaps that's why he didn't want trouble. Just stay away from this national grid problem. Just give us solar. So if the president is running on solar,
distribution companies
he's
and
sending
the
us a
gas,
message.
Jeffrey and Kade, I think the distribution companies and gas supplying companies should publish the names of the list of agencies that are owing it and what sums that they're owing, so that Nigerians can begin to call them out and ask why they're owing.
I think they do that consistently. Yes. Maybe it's also distract, some may say, but wait till 2027, guys. You remember 2023 started with subsidies gone for petrol. What if 2027 comes with subsidies gone for electricity?
That you have not provided.
That's the point.
Because the arguments
there isn't enough funding, liquidity to invest in the sector. But I need to call out those who were responsible for the privatization there. It's important in 2013. So we had the Bureau of Public Enterprises, naturally, the National Council on Privatization, the Presidential Task Force on Power, of course, the Ministry of Power, the NERC was also there. So all of these that I mentioned in 2013 that are responsible for the completion of this privatization, you are being called to question by the Minister of Power that the process that you midwifed and presented to Nigerians was flawed, and that's why we're where we are today.
So at the end of the day, if I think you're on band A, I'm on band A. They are not
subsidized. Doesn't feel like band A right now.
No, it's not band A. It's not band A.
D or something.
I'm told we're not being subsidized.
Yeah.
Everybody from band B, and I know that they were really saying that liquidity has come in because of the half-measure part removal of subsidy. So some people are paying subsidy and it's going to be gradual. So I don't know what really happened to those monies, or people are not, because if you don't, with tariff and using meters, it's not a question of whether you want to pay. If you don't pay, you're not going to have light. It's as simple as that, except you do something illegal. So maybe the energy special advisor to the president, her name is Verheyen. Sometimes that name is difficult for me to pronounce. I think she may have to explain to us what exactly is going on. I see the work she's doing with the oil and gas sector, but also the electricity sector, which is the bane of our economy. She should do something and tell us exactly what's going on. But the president has more responsibility to explain to us. If he doesn't, don't vote for him.
Absolutely.
It's as simple as that. He said so. It's not me.
And that should cut across.
Yeah,
really.
It's not me.
This is a time to look at what government has done and naturally respond or repay them in kind. But don't worry, this is a major conversation on the show today. As simple as that. So we'll be having the experts speak to this. There are a couple of other stories, big stories, which we'll show you, but let's take a moment now and we'll see how the dailies are reporting them. Mr. Ayo Akere joins us. Stay with us.